In this video, I'm going to be giving an update on my progress to build an automated day trading bot. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Frank Mularcik, and if you missed it, a few weeks ago I released a video about basically how I'm planning to build a day trading bot and my progress so far, and I was looking to use this service called Alpaca for stock trading, which sounded great at the time, but I sort of changed up my strategy since then, and basically I decided, at least for a lot of the testing, I'm going to be using crypto trading again, and the main reason for that is just because the market is open all of the time. So whenever I have time to work on it and I sit down to work on testing it, I can get live data about the prices of these cryptos, because I'm using that to analyze that data. So if I can't get that live data, then I can't test my programs, and then I have to be able to test my buys and sells and all that kind of thing. So I just thought it would be better to do crypto, at least for now, maybe just forever, with this, just because I'll be able to test it whenever I want, and then if I decide to use this eventually with some real money, I'll basically be able to run this whenever and for as long as I want. So that's why I chose to switch that up for now. We'll see how it works in the future, but that's just where we're at, and I'll show you guys my progress. So when we last talked, I was just getting some historical data from Alpaca and then calculating some various technical indicators, and basically I created a backtrading simulation for myself where I calculated my returns based on the historical data. And what I wanted to try was, instead of just using the daily time intervals, I wanted to use something more frequent. So what I did is I turned to Polygon's data, and the problem I was having is, even though I could get more frequent intervals, they had a cap on the maximum amount of data you could get in one request. So I was basically having to create a request for data and then compile it multiple times and create multiple requests and then compile those into one data source to run through my backtrader, basically to test my strategy. And it took me a while to get all that working, but I eventually got it working. And I think the results are right around here. So I use multiple strategies and multiple time intervals, and I think the most successful one I found was just using the MACD. Of the ones I tried, I think I got around 200% return, but that was over 20 years, so even that really isn't that good. But up to this point, I hadn't done any just like simple moving averages, so I decided to try that. And then after that, I was going to try to implement it into just a paper trading account. I was going to use Alpaca, and then, like I said, I just thought it would be easier to use crypto, so I could, just do it whenever and work on this whenever, so I was not constrained to the market hours. So basically I created this program here, which is using the Coinbase API, and they do have a what they call a sandbox account. So I have a sandbox account with them, and then I'm also using their WebSocket client to stream the data. So basically I'm connected to the Coinbase API, which connects my account to them and allows me to make trades in my sandbox account. And then I'm also down here using the Coinbase WebSocket client to get data basically as frequently as they send it with updated prices of Bitcoin. So the basic premise of this, I guess, is that you just create a WebSocket client, and then it just sends you data, and then basically on message, this is just saying every time it sends me a message, I'm going to run this function on message, and then on open is just the opening function, and on close is on closing function. So those are pretty basic. So most of the computations and everything happens in the on message function. My code looks pretty messy right now because I've just been testing a bunch of things, and when I have an error, I just have some print statements or something like that to try to debug it, and then I'll just comment that out so that it's still there if I still need to look at that sometime in the future. So it looks pretty hectic right now, but eventually I think it will look nicer, and this is just for testing, so we'll see. So I have to subscribe to the data. So this function right here, let me start here. This function is the onOpen function. So basically whenever I open the connection with the WebSocket, it will run this function, and the first thing I'm going to do is connect to my Coinbase Pro account with the like the sandbox version, that's paper trading, basically authenticate it so I can make trades on that behalf. And then I have to subscribe to the Bitcoin channel so that I can get Bitcoin prices coming to me. So that's what I'm doing here. And then this is the on-close function. Pretty much nothing happens. And the on-message function is where most of everything happens. So this Coinbase WebSocket will basically send me a message, and then I'm just parsing that message and creating data frames with all the data I'm getting in order to make my calculations. Basically, I'm only going to look at data every minute, so it's sending me data constantly. So I have to do something with that data. So basically, the first data point I get in a new minute, at that point I'm going to look at it and store those values in basically a candlestick, which I'm just using like a dictionary. So I'm calling it candlesticks, and I'm appending a dictionary that includes like the time and then the open, high, low, and close. And the open, high, low, and close initially are just the current price. And then every time I get a new message within that same minute, then I'm just comparing the current price to the high and low price. And if they're, the right types, then I'll reset the high and low price to be what it's supposed to be. And then when I get into the next minute, then this is why I have the previous message, because when I get into the next minute, I want to make the closing price of the previous message equal to basically the previous message price. So I do that, and then I basically put this candlestick data into a pandas data frame form, because that data frame is then what I can pass into my indicator to calculate whatever indicator I want to calculate, because there's a library called bta-lib that I'm using, and it basically can calculate some technical indicators for you, and you need the data to be in a data frame in order to do that. So I'm putting the data here in a data frame, and then I'm just concatenating it with the current data frame. And so every time I get a new minute of data, I just add that to the data frame, and it just keeps building and building as I go. So, and then I'm calculating, basically I'm just using a simple moving average strategy. So I'm just using a simple moving average of 20 periods and 50 periods. So I'm calculating those and then just adding them on to the data frame. And then I'm also using this crossover indicator, which basically just calculates if these averages cross. And then if they do cross, then I'm going to check whichever one's smaller or bigger here. So I'm saying if they do cross, then I'm just checking if the short moving average is longer than the long moving average, or is the short moving average value is bigger than the long moving average. That if that's the case, that's a bullish sign, so I'm going to buy. And then if that's not the case, then I'm going to sell. So I have these sell orders and buy orders. And then I have these print statements. I actually have to fix these because they're not quite right. I didn't get my indexing for my dictionaries right, but I will fix that. But right now I've actually been running this for probably about 2 or 3 hours. You can see in these data frames that I'm printing out, I have about 2.5 hours. I have 163 rows, so that's like 163 minutes. These are the simple moving averages. So basically this is the 20-day moving average, and this is the 50-day moving average. It was sometime recently when they crossed. I'm not exactly sure when it was. We can look at my Coinbase account here. So let's just refresh it just to make sure. So I basically started with $50,000. It's obviously fake money, but you can see I do have half a Bitcoin because I triggered a buy order around, let's see, it was at 346. So we'll go back to that minute in the data and look at the data and try to see what happened there. But it looks like it was around $46,899, and I'm not quite sure what the current price of Bitcoin is, but I don't know if we can see that here. It doesn't look like it. Okay, so we're back here right around where I think 346 is, And if we look right here, yeah, so right here you can see the short moving average, the 20-day moving average is 46,846, and the long moving average, the 50 period moving average, is 46,848. And then the next minute, the short-term moving average was 46,853, and the long-term was 46,848. So you can see the short moving average moved above the long-term moving average, so that's a bullish signal. So we bought there, and it looks like it has not moved under since. So looks like this stopped right around 420 about 20 minutes ago, and at that point it was still above the short-term moving average, was still above the long-term moving average. So I hope at least some of that made sense. I tried to explain it as best I could, but I probably didn't do the absolute best job. So I hope it did make sense a little bit. But going into the future, I kind of want to try to put this on REPL and then just set it up with a little Flask server there like I've shown before, and then just have it run pretty much constantly, and just test out this strategy over like a few weeks or months, and just see what happens with my account. Obviously, the one thing with Bitcoin and crypto in general is you're going to pay fees on your transactions, so it sort of makes it even harder to do better day trading or trading, I guess, than if you were to just invest, just buy once or twice and just hold it for a while. So that is one obstacle as well. And the paper trading account accounts for fees, so it's not like it makes you think your strategy is doing better than it actually would in the real world. It does account for fees. So I was trying to put it onto REPL there, but I was just having some problems that are pretty deep into the weeds, so I won't go into them here. But that's what I want to do, and then at some point, maybe if I get that working and am able to develop a strategy that works even better, then I will maybe put some real money in and see what happens with that, or maybe I will try to go back to Alpaca and trade with that as well, with some real money in stocks. So we'll just see where it goes. If you guys have any suggestions or think I'm doing something completely wrong, just feel free to let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate any sort of feedback, because like I've said before, I'm really not an expert in any of this stuff. I'm pretty new actually to more trading type stuff and technical indicators and all that. So definitely give me any pointers in the comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.